Okay, so this is going to be an interesting experiment. But I have the time today, so I'm going to practice. So I'm going to start off with the Sally Hansen Instant Cuticle Remover. This is what most people that do at-home manicures use. And I'm going to use my new cuticle pusher. I got both of these at Walmart. I did a haul over it, I think, a week ago. But anyway, so it tells you on here how to use it. It says just to squeeze on your cuticles. After 15 seconds, push back your cuticles. Wash excess thoroughly with warm soapy water. So basically, you just put it around your nail. You take your cuticle pusher. You just kind of push them out of the way just a little bit, and then you wash your hands. Okay? So I don't know if I can show you this. It's really nothing special. You just take it and you just kind of go around the perimeter of your nail. So here's this. Wait 15 seconds and take your little cuticle pusher, which has probably been 15 seconds on this thumbnail. You just take it and you just kind of, not with a lot of pressure because you don't want to hurt yourself. You just kind of lightly just push back just a little bit because that's going to make that look, more round. Have a more professional appearance. So I'm going to do that and wash my hands. And so now you want to pick out the acrylic nail that fits your finger or your nail bed. And it's been so long since I've tried to do a full set of acrylics at home. I fill my nails at home, but I don't put the whole thing on because I always think it looks horrible. So this is just something I'm trying to do for you guys that I have not done in years. I think the last time I might have done this was 3 years ago, so I'm sure that I've lost my touch a lot. But anyway, you can get natural tips or you can get white tips. You can get them at Sally's. You might even be able to get them at Walmart. I don't know. And this one was a pack of 100 for $4.99. Like I said, this was like 3 years ago when I bought these. I don't really do the white tips anymore. Whenever I do go to the salon, I do just the natural tips because I paint them a lot. They're always painted, so I don't really need the French tip look. So I actually would have preferred to have a natural colored tip, but these are what I had at my house, so these are what I'm going to use. So you just pick out, which one fits your nail bed, and this does take, 5 or 6 minutes to size them and make sure that they fit the best that they can. And then our next step is just going to be to super glue them on. And that's pretty self-explanatory. So you want to just take your super glue, and if you've ever been to a salon to get your nails done, you've seen this 100 times, and you just put a little dot. I put an extra little dot because I'm doing them at home. And then what you want to do is you want to put it on your nail, and I kind of start up like this, and then I press it down because you don't want any air bubbles in there. If you get an air bubble, that is what's going to make the nail pop off. And once it's on there, just kind of jiggle it, kind of pull it back and forth. I know that's a very small movement, but hopefully you can see that. And you just kind of pull it back and forth to make sure that's drying on there securely. And that also kind of gets those air bubbles out. So once you get your tip on there, it's going to be real flimsy, and it's going to feel like it's going to fall off, but we're going to put acrylic over it. But it feels very unsecure at first, which is fine. And you just kind of make sure that that's on there. Press down hard. Make sure it's on there. And you're just going to do that on all of your nails. So let me go to So here are my Dragon Lady nails. I'm looking really good in my little nails. This is like horrible. I can never live this way. There are women that can. Hats off to them because I'm like trying to touch my phone and dropping it. Okay. So after you get all the nails on and they're secure and they're glued down good, right? And you'll see my tips are a little bit higher than they normally would be if I was doing these at a salon. Because like I said, I don't feel that my acrylic is as strong, and I'm also not a professional, so they're not going to stay on as well. So I glue them a little bit higher so I can get a little more glue under there. And I'm going to put acrylic over and paint over them so you won't see it. Okay, so the next thing that you've got to have is one of these little things. And I don't know what these are called. They're a nail clipper for like long acrylic nails. You can see this one is kind of gross. It's pretty old. This is like 3 years old. I got this when I got my you know, stuff to do acrylic. So it's basically just like a nail clipper, but it's got this little half moon. It's got this thing that comes up to cut them. Some people use scissors and they'll cut through them, but I'm always afraid I'm going to like crack the nail, so I don't like to use those. So I use this thing, and this is going to trim our nails from Dragon Lady length, oh yeah, to a manageable length. Okay, so I mean, this is the simplest tool ever. You just insert the nail in it and then you clip it. Now, I always clip mine a little bit longer than I think I'm going to at first, than I think I'm going to want them, because the thing is, we're going to have to kind of measure them up and make sure they're even in a second. So you might have to trim off a little bit of length in a second anyway. So I make them a little bit longer than I'm going to wear them. You can see kind of how long my fingers. And then if you've been to a salon, you've seen them do this 100 times. They put your fingers next to each other and they line them up to see if they're about the same length. Now, they don't have to be exact because we are going to probably file them and things like that. So you just want to make sure they're somewhat the same length. You want to make sure you don't have one that's like really, really long. And if you do, you just kind of trim it. So you line your nails up like this, and your knuckles, my knuckles here, that's what you want to line up. And you want to line up where, you know, the end of your finger, and make sure they're about the same length. Like I said, I'm not too picky. This is an at-home job. Not going to be perfect. So I'm going to do a full coverage nail look and paint them. And I think that if you're going to do them at home, that's your best way to go. Because when you do French tips at home, it never looks as good. It's never as clear. The acrylic is never as clear. So when I do my nails at home, I don't even try to do the French tip. I've tried it before, and it never looks as good as a professional. So if I do them at home, I'm going to do a full coverage paint on my nails. So that way it's going to hide some of those imperfections and those problems that I'm going to have, because I'm definitely not that great at this. Anyway, so okay, I have this wonderful little school box, very mature of me, and it is my favorite color though. This has my old acrylic stuff. It's like memory lane of when I was like 17 trying to figure out myself and my beauty. Anyway, so it's Beauty Secret Clear Sculpture Powder, perfectly transparent powder, whatever. This is your acrylic powder. If you've ever been to a salon, okay, they have the powder and they have the liquid, if you know what I'm talking about. So you want to get some clear acrylic powder. You can get this at Sally's. They're in these little plastic things, and when you... See? It's everywhere. When you open them, there's white powder inside. I haven't taken this little foil off. Anyway, there's white powder inside, and I just made a mess. Oh, no. Okay. Anyway, get some acrylic powder. You can get acrylic powder at Sally's. I actually think you can even get it in, like, acrylic kits at Walmart. I think I've seen it at Walmart. And I might have even gotten this at Walmart. It's been so long. But I think I got this at Sally's. So basically, all you need is a brush, acrylic powder, or sculpture powder. And if you go to any Sally's, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the person there will. But most of you who are wanting to do your nails at home have been to a salon several times, and you're tired of paying for it. So you know what I'm talking about with the powder. Now, if you keep the powder, this is what I've heard a long time ago. You keep the powder in this little plastic thing, it can clump, it gets kind of dried out, it gets kind of gross. So it's recommended that you keep them in like a ceramic or a little porcelain container. So most of the time when you go to a salon, you'll see that they have it in like glass or a little porcelain container. So that's what this is. I got this at Sally's as well. I think it was like $1. So what I've already done is this powder, I've poured it on my table. I've already poured it in this little thing. So you can see this is just kind of like my little powder pot. So this is what I'm going to use for my acrylic powder. And then the last thing that I got, or the other things that you're going to need, other than your acrylic powder, is you're going to need an acrylic liquid. So I got this one at Sally's. This was $6.89. This is the Beauty Secrets Sculpture Nail Liquid. So you need the Sculpture Nail Powder, Sculpture Nail Liquid. I got both of these at Sally's a long time ago. I promise you they still have it. And the last thing that I use is a dapping dish. And it's just a little glass cup. You can get this at Sally's. It's like $1. So what you need is the powder, the liquid, and you're going to need a brush. Now, these brushes are definitely not ideal. I need a new brush and a different shaped brush. What I would recommend is like you want a nail brush or something that's really durable, but you want the shape of an eyeshadow brush. You know how the top of an eyeshadow brush is shaped like this rounded tip? This is what, that shape on the brush is what they're normally going to use at the salon. But for some reason, I have these two straight tipped brushes. Don't know why. But that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. And this brush, Alright, so I'm scooting you guys up a little closer, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, so I have my acrylic liquid in the dapping dish. I've got the powder in here. So you're going to take your brush, you're going to dip it in the liquid. You don't want it dripping off, but you do want your brush saturated. Then you're going to take your powder and you're going to barely touch it. Don't just shove it in the powder. You're going to barely touch the surface of the powder, and when you do that, your brush is going to like make a blob. Okay? It's going to make a blob of powder. Okay, that's a little too much. Okay, if you get a little too much powder, because mine fell off my brush, just dip it back in the liquid, and you're going to get a clear looking blob. You want it to look like this. Then you're going to place it just at the top of the nail, and you're going to bring it down. Now, I am very messy at this, because like I said, I'm not a professional. And so you're going to just cover your whole nail, and you're going to bring it down. And I have a paper towel underneath me. And if you have extra acrylic, you want to get it off, because if you don't, it's going to harden and it's going to stick to your skin. So you just kind of brush it off. And I don't do just a really thick layer because I'm doing this myself and I'm not all that wonderful. I just do a thin layer and then another thin layer and another thin layer until I get it about the thickness that I like. So there's kind of my first little layer. I'm just going to wipe off some of that extra stuff. So you can see it really doesn't look that spectacular, but it's on there. And the acrylic is just to bind everything to your nail to make it thicker and to make it, you know, where it's not going to crack or fall off or anything like that. So you just kind of get what's on your skin off. Doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm going to go in for kind of a second layer. And as you can see here, you see all these little blobbies? These are my extra acrylic. Those are going to dry and they're going to be hard. So you just dip, okay, touch the powder, just barely touch the top of the powder and it will collect a blob. Shake off anything that's extra. I've got to stop dropping this. Okay, shake off any extra powder. I dip mine back in here because I want to make sure it's saturated. I know that's not the official way to do it, but who's following the rules? I'm not. Okay. And you're just going to kind of paint it over your nail. Anything extra like this, just wipe it off, put it on the paper towel. Okay? So you want to just kind of go around the shape of your nail. Clean it off the edges. You do want to come off the end here. And like I said, this is going to look messy. It's not going to be perfect, which is why I'm not trying to do a beautiful French tip look. Because I think that it's not realistic to get that as perfect as I want it at home. But I can do just an acrylic and paint over it at home, and it's going to look just fine. Okay, so you'll see here how there's a big gap here, a big ridge here, where the fake nail is glued on. Here, you will see that that gap is pretty much gone because I filled in that gap and thickened it in with acrylic. Now, if you want your nails thicker than that, if you want them a little stronger than that, you can do like a thin third layer. It just kind of depends on how thick you like the acrylic on your nails. Some people like it really thick. Some people don't like it thick. So